So this episode of Nanatsu no Taizai, or in English called Seven Deadly Sins, opens up with quite a interesting plot with Bon and Cheriko basically uh, trying to get a reviving potion, most probably for King's sister who Bon loves, most probably for her. So while searching for this potion, Bon learns about the rumor that there's a dead person who was revived in a place called Raven, and he uh, starts making his way to Raven. I don't know why I stumbled on that, but that happens. And then we cut off to the part where it left off last time in the last episode, where all of a sudden Meliodas sees Liz. So basically, Zaneri, the one who put Meliodas to into this illusional world, basically she put Meliodas' soul into that world so that she could, um, so that Meliodas could actually like give a test of some kind, a trial of some kind, so that like his trial. I ended a trial later, but basically that's what she explains to Elizabeth, who begins her own trial in a way, because basically what Elizabeth does is she gets her some kind of pot, goblet, I would say a goblet, and what Zeneri does is put some seeds into it. And that's what she says. She puts some seed into it, and Elizabeth has to grow that goblet, grow the seeds within that goblet. Basically, the power of druids. That's what she said, and she was like, "Oh, if you can't grow the seeds, you basically can't go to the battle," and that's very understandable. Considering that the druids are the one who seal, the goddess race are the one who seal the commandments, Elizabeth is gonna be a big part of this battle. So that's an understandable statement. So that happens, and then we go back into Meliodas' vision. We see Meliodas and Liz having some fun time, like just this fun time. We see Meliodas groping Liz and stuff, some etchy stuff, I would say. And yeah, we see that, and then all of a sudden he hugs Meliodas. Meliodas and Liz, they hugged each other, and we cut to this point where, actually before that, Meliodas was like, this was pretty much how he feels like it is home for him. He feels like it was his home because it was very much an illusion that came true. He pretty much wanted that life rather than living this life where he's fighting against the commandments. So basically, that what was indicated, and then he just hugs Liz, and we see this transition where uh uh Liz is kind of dying, and while Meliodas is hugging him, and then Meliodas, all of a sudden his face goes all purplish aura, like the commandment aura, and just boom, it just blasts off that whole thing. Like, yo, that blast. That's how that city got destroyed. And Meliodas was named the Sin of Rat. Was it? Most probably, because that's the only explanation, right? Then the city got destroyed. Meliodas got the name the Sin of Rat. That's basically how it would have happened, right? So yeah, it displays the power of a commandment, basically. So you can see that Meliodas, he's feeling the pain in his body when he's done like destroying stuff, and then again come back into the start, and like just this comes out of nowhere to was Meliodas. This again a transition, and like a loophole over and over again. That's basically what was happening in Meliodas' vision. A loophole. You could see Liz dying. Again, she's alive another time. But instead of just a loophole in your dreams and stuff, this was putting strain on his body. There's a complete strain on his body. You could see that he was like having this strange strain, like he couldn't control his power and stuff. He couldn't control his body. So that happens, and then we cut off to where we see King Merlin and everybody. They are following what's her name again? Jenna. There we go. Jenna, the other druid. she basically was taking them to a training cave. And when she took them to a training cave, all of a sudden Hendrickson comes out, and King was like, "I'm gonna kill this guy. Doesn't matter what happens, I'll kill this guy for not sure." Yeah, he's just like there, and not Meliodas, Hendrickson just falls down on the floor, and you see he's all beaten up and stuff. Now I don't know what's happening in the cave because I've never read the manga, so I don't know what's happening in the cave. But yo, the beating that Hendrickson has had, whew, it doesn't seem like a good thing. And if that wasn't anything, Hawk sees like a brown thing in front of him and is like, "Oh, druid scrap! Piggyback, piggyback, piggyback!" He runs towards that brown thing, and then it just cuts off to Gil Thunder and the other two knights with him, just completely like fried up. It was so funny. That scene was so funny just because of the way the faces were. I understand it was like they're beaten up and everything, but the way their faces were, that scene was just funny. And then we cut up again to see Meliodas and Liz again having some good time, like Meliodas reimagining all the things that are happening, the good times. And Meliodas, he feels pain. He again starts feeling pain, and Zaneri stops Meliodas by using her spell. Basically, she stops the vision that Meliodas is having inside his brain by just using that spell she used previously. And that's the reason for that is it would have crushed Meliodas' heart. Now that my friend is quite an OP move. If you ask me, putting a loophole which could crush your heart, that's quite an OP move. I'm not gonna say no wonder the goddess race or the druid race, to be honest, they were like super strong and they could seal the commandments. No wonder. Like if your technique, one of the technique is capable of doing that to a commandment, yeah, that's quite a thing. So Meliodas feels down, his confidence goes below, and Elizabeth, what she basically does is she comforts Meliodas. She's like, "I believe in you" and stuff. Those kind of lines. And Meliodas, all of a sudden thinks about protecting others. You know, like what he needs to protect people here. That's basically what happens because watching Elizabeth in tears basically most probably reminded him of Les because again, in the previous season, the old man who Meliodas met in the tournament basically. Oh wait, ow! Something was in my mouth. I don't know why. We felt fear, but yeah, you see that there is a lot of resemblance of Elizabeth and Liz, the old man made in the previous season, and most probably, except for the fact that Elizabeth is more on a like I say shy type of thing, and Liz is more sundari type of thing. I wouldn't say there were much difference between them. They're pretty much the same, in my opinion too. So I could see why Meliodas would feel like that. Like, he needs to protect others. Yeah, so he basically orders Zaneri to send him back into that illusional world that he was in, and she sends him. Not Elizabeth. Zaneri basically sends Meliodas to back to that tragic and good memory loophole. And Meliodas again starts feeling strain on his body. He's again like he's just remembering things. He can't forget Liz and everything. And Zaneri wanted to stop this thing because she was like, "Oh, I can't take this. Meliodas will die. His heart would crush." But Elizabeth stops her, and you could see that Zaneri didn't like Elizabeth interfering because she was like, "What do you know about Meliodas?" And just when they say that, we could see this vision of Meliodas, just like he can't forget Liz. He just can't forget Liz. He just goes over and over again, just destroys everything. That happens, but he does gain control of that power. How? Basically, he remembers Liz. He just gets used to Liz dead. Basically, he keeps Liz in his heart, and very similar to a normal human being. Cause basically, somebody dies, you remember them in your heart. Basically, someone close to you dies, you remember them in your heart, and that's basically how you move on. And basically, Meliodas moved on from Liz's death. He finally got his power under control in his illusional world, and it's quite a interesting thing because Meliodas finally gets his power. I will finally get to see most probably Meliodas in the next week or after that, most probably. Then we put a transition right over there. Then we cut to another transition. So Bond here, he basically doesn't get any kind of information on this reviving person. Like, he doesn't get any kind of information on what's going on, and he basically is in Raven right now. So you could see that Bond and Cheriko, they are basically staying in this hotel. And one more thing, Cheriko is afraid of bugs. Expected. Most women are afraid of bugs. Very expected. Like, after all, Jericho is a woman, and it's understandable because it's just, I don't know what it is, but most women are afraid of bugs for some reason. I just don't know. Like, I would like to ask if there is any girl following me or subscribe to me. Why are most women afraid of bugs? Because it's just so funny to see her like that, and it's understandable. Again, very understandable. So we see that, and Elizabeth, not Elizabeth. God damn it! I got her name wrong again. God damn it! Ah, kill me! Kill me! Not a Seven Deadly Sins fan. Kill me! But yeah, we see Jericho basically asking Bond about his past. And just when Bond was about to say about his past, we see this one strange guy in hood getting beat up by these three thugs. And Bond basically says to Jericho, don't give a shit about this. This is how this place is. We also come to know Bond actually was risen in this place. The place they live in Raven. He was risen in this place. He was as a child. He was this is his childhood basically. This was his childhood. That's basically this place for him. So we see that happens, and basically we see that On is looking like, oh, we don't need to help him. Jericho's like, oh, and I understandably, as a knight, she would want to help people. So basically, Bond is like, no, you don't know, you don't need that. This happens daily in this territory. You don't need to do that. And then you see that this one guy with bat or whatever was in his hand, a wood or whatever, he's like, oh, you are the person who's reviving people, and Bond, that cut Bond's interest. So Bond goes in there, smack. Whoo! Again, Bond is my favorite character, so I just can't like say anything to them about that. Anything Bond does for me, it's one of the coolest moments in Seven Deadly Sins. But anyways, Bond takes out all three of them in an instant. Expected. He's one of the Seven Deadly Sins. It's the sin of greed. Expected. That happens. And then he takes this guy on. He just throws him in his room when he gets inside, and this guy just sticks to the wall out of nowhere, and I was like, whoa, what just happened there? And Bond is like, I know those movements are pretty good. And Bond, and then he reveals himself. He puts his hood on, and we see it's a fox, a were fox to be exact. And Bond was like, you need to give back the money you stole, please. And he just gives. No, the money he stole, Bond actually steals it from the werewolves. The money he stole was from Jericho, and Bond steals that from werewolves. And I was like, yo, Bond, whoa, you gotta teach me that trick, bro. Stealing. I really would love to have. After all, he's got the power to steal. He steals people energy. That's his power. So it's acceptable. He's grown in that environment and stuff. So that happens, and we move into Bond's past after that. We see that Werewolf is kind of injured and everything. He's on the bed, and Cheriko is treating him. And you see that Bond looks like the Werewolf here's storyline that, oh, that werewolves need to steal because the human race did not accept them as one of them, and that's why the werewolves need to steal. But then we move into Bond's past when he hears the line steal. They have to steal for their own safety, own kind. So we move into Bond. What the hell? Forget about it. But we move into Bond's past, and we see kid, this one kid who's trying to steal a potato from this vendor, and the vendor, he basically sends him to jail. And with Bond, who's in the jail, he's with another guy, and he's this guy delinquentish type of clothing. I would say something like have you guys watched Hit by Reborn? And Cornello, something like that. He's dressed something like that, I would say, in my opinion. That's the most probable thing that comes in my mind when I see that guy. So yeah, he meets this guy, and this guy gives him potato, and he just eats him. I think it's potato chips, whatever it is, but he eats it. Bond eats that, and the guy is like, I'm gonna break in. Wanna come join in? Ian Bond is giving him a deadly stare, and he's like, "Oh, what's your name, kid?" Because he's like, "Oh, you don't have that eyes. You don't have those eyes of a kid." Like, you could understand because he was giving him a deadly stare. So it's could understand. Anybody would be like, "Oh, this guy doesn't look like a normal kid." And so he asked us, "What's your name?" And Bond was like, "His name is Bond." He's just like, "I'm Bond." Eh. And then this guy says, "My name is Zivago." So here's my guess, okay? We see a little glimpse of Zivago and Bond's thing in the next episode. So first half would be that, and we see the glimpse of King and Meliodas training. Now that, my friend, that is something I want to see next episode. But anyways, my guess is Zivago is master. That's my guess. And something bad has happened to him in his past. So that's my guess. I don't know about it. But next week is gonna be a very interesting episode because Meliodas, King, Hendrickson, Gil Thunder, all these people, they're training. And I would love to see what happens there because somebody just clearly stops Meliodas's lost one year, and I would like to see who it was. But other than that, it was a very cool episode. I would scale this episode to be around 8. I would give it 8 out of 10. I felt the feels for this episode because I'm connected to Meliodas. I would say that he's one of my really liked characters. I would say he's an OP character who I really like, I would say. And then there is Bond, who I obviously like. So Bond is just like that kind of character. It always gets me. Bond is one of my favorite characters, if not the favorite character of Seven Deadly Sins. So that's understandable. But yeah, I'll give it 8 out of 10. Just not because of Bond or Meliodas being in this episode, but because this episode, in my opinion, is well done. In my opinion, the feels were there for people who are connected to Meliodas. I could feel the feels for Meliodas because they have been developing this guy since the first season, and it's been such a great development. Meliodas has got such a great development since the first season. He's an overpowered character, but he's still got a really good development since the first season, and that's the reason why I felt connected to Meliodas, and I could get the feels he was feeling. So I would rate it 8 out of 10 in this episode. Not to mention Bond, I think so. Bond was also a good standpoint because we kind of get to give a look at it. That's just me though, because I like Bond. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see Bond every day. If he was your neighbor, I would go see him every day, bro. No, I'm serious. If he was in my neighbor, I would ask him to make me his apprentice. I'm real, for real. And anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like if you like my content. Don't forget to subscribe as I do more anime content as well as gaming content. But lately I have not been doing gaming content because reasons. Because for some reason I just don't feel like playing any game lately. It's just anime for me. But I will get onto gaming content soon enough, as soon as I get a decent PC, I guess. Because I feel like my PC is still down a low grade PC. Oh my god. My PC is still a low grade PC, knowing that there are games out there which are higher grade. So I would like to get back to gaming. I will get back to Dragon Ball Xenoverse and stuff. Don't worry. But for the time being, my gaming content may stall, and my most probably what I'll be doing is most probably gonna be anime content. So yeah. So what do you think? Where you scale this episode? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like again. Don't forget to subscribe again. And until the next time. Peace.